Imagine a moment, perhaps only a few decades from now, where you wake up and instantly recall the intricate details of a city you have never visited, or solve a complex mathematical equation without ever consciously learning the formula. The boundary between your biological brain and the vast digital repository of human knowledge has dissolved into an invisible, seamless stream of data. This is not the realm of science fiction fantasy, but the projected reality of advanced neurotechnology. We stand on the precipice of an era where the silent, private sanctum of the human mind is poised to connect directly to the global internet. The implications of this leap extend far beyond mere convenience or medical miracles, striking at the very core of what constitutes human consciousness. The architecture driving this profound transformation relies on brain-computer interfaces, or BCIs. A brain-computer interface is a direct communication pathway between an enhanced or wired brain and an external device. In their most advanced conceptual forms, these systems translate the electrochemical impulses of our neurons into digital commands, and conversely, convert digital data back into biological signals our brains can interpret. The objective is to bypass the traditional, agonizingly slow bottlenecks of human communication, such as typing on a keyboard or speaking words aloud, achieving a frictionless exchange of information at the speed of thought. The groundwork for this cognitive revolution is already being laid in highly secure laboratories and clinical trials around the world. Companies like Neuralink, alongside prominent academic institutions, have developed microscopic electrode arrays thinner than a human hair, designed to be surgically implanted directly into the cerebral cortex. These early iterations primarily aim to restore lost biological functions, allowing individuals with severe paralysis to move robotic limbs or control computer cursors simply by imagining the action. The initial medical triumphs are extraordinary, offering a lifeline of agency to those trapped within failing biological forms. Yet, the ghosts of those initial medical interventions are already paving the way for a much grander, more unsettling ambition. Once the technology proves safe and effective for restoration, the inevitable next step is cognitive enhancement. This represents a paradigm shift from healing the sick to upgrading the healthy. Researchers are actively exploring how neural implants might amplify memory retention, accelerate learning curves, and even facilitate direct brain-to-brain communication. The transition from a therapeutic tool to an evolutionary catalyst introduces a labyrinth of philosophical complexities that our current societal frameworks are entirely unequipped to handle. As we merge our biological wetware with synthetic hardware, the fundamental concept of human identity begins to fracture and blur. For millennia, our sense of self has been securely housed within the physical confines of our skulls, a sovereign territory of private thoughts, unique memories, and individual agency. When a microchip allows you to outsource your memory to a cloud server, or when an artificial intelligence algorithm actively assists in your decision-making process, the question of authorship becomes deeply ambiguous. Where does the authentic biological self end and the digital augmentation begin? This blurring of boundaries brings a previously abstract philosophical concept known as the extended mind theory into stark, practical reality. The extended mind theory posits that human cognition is not strictly confined to the brain or the body, but actively includes the external environment and the tools we use to think. A notebook used to remember appointments or a smartphone used to navigate a city are, according to this framework, literal extensions of our cognitive architecture. Advanced neural interfaces take this theory to its absolute, terrifying logical conclusion, embedding the external tool directly into the biological processing center. The realization of this theory immediately spawns a host of unprecedented ethical dilemmas. When the tools of our extended mind are owned, operated, and updated by multinational tech corporations, the sanctity of our innermost thoughts is fundamentally compromised. Mental privacy, the last true refuge of human freedom, faces an existential threat. If a device can read your neural spikes to type a message, it possesses the inherent capability to monitor your subconscious reactions, your unexpressed desires, and your hidden fears. The data harvested from a direct neural connection is not merely behavioral, it is the raw, unfiltered essence of human consciousness. The commodification of this neural data could create a surveillance state of unimaginable intrusion. Imagine a world where your emotional responses to advertisements are recorded in real time, or where your political leanings are quantified by analyzing the microscopic fluctuations in your amygdala. The legal systems of the world are currently struggling to protect our digital footprints, let alone the electrical footprints of our thoughts. This looming crisis has sparked a desperate call among ethicists and legal scholars for the establishment of neuro-rights, a new category of human rights specifically designed to protect mental privacy, cognitive liberty, and the right to psychological continuity. Beyond the specter of surveillance, the introduction of artificial intelligence into the neural loop threatens the very foundation of human autonomy. An advanced interface will not simply be a passive conduit for information, it will rely on sophisticated machine learning algorithms to interpret and predict our intentions. If an AI system is constantly filtering the information you receive, subtly adjusting your mood through targeted neurochemical stimulation, or predicting your choices before you consciously make them, the concept of free will becomes dangerously compromised. You may feel as though you are making an independent decision, but the neural pathways leading to that choice may have been silently paved by a proprietary algorithm. This erosion of autonomy intersects violently with the potential for a catastrophic societal divide. The widespread adoption of cognitive enhancement technologies will likely not be egalitarian. If neural upgrades are expensive and restricted to those with vast financial resources, humanity could fracture into distinct biological classes. We face the terrifying prospect of a cognitive elite, individuals who possess vastly superior memory, processing speed, and emotional regulation compared to the unenhanced population. The historical inequalities of wealth and education would be dwarfed by a biological divergence, potentially creating a permanent, insurmountable underclass. The psychological toll on both sides of this divide would be staggering. For the enhanced, the constant influx of digital information and the pressure to operate at superhuman speeds could lead to entirely new forms of neural exhaustion and identity fragmentation. When your thoughts are constantly intertwined with a global network, the silence of the individual mind is lost forever. For the unenhanced, the psychological burden of obsolescence, the realization that they can no longer compete in a society driven by augmented intelligence, could trigger profound existential despair. As we project this trajectory further into the future, we encounter the theoretical horizon of the singularity. The singularity is a hypothetical point in time when technological growth becomes uncontrollable and irreversible, resulting in unforeseeable changes to human civilization. In the context of neural interfaces, this represents the moment when the distinction between human intelligence and artificial intelligence completely dissolves. If billions of human minds are seamlessly connected to each other and to vast supercomputers, a new form of collective consciousness could emerge, an entity vastly more powerful and incomprehensible than any single human mind. Reaching such a horizon requires overcoming monumental scientific hurdles that currently stymie researchers. The human brain is an incredibly hostile environment for foreign objects. The biological immune system naturally attacks and encapsulates implanted electrodes, degrading their signal quality over time. Furthermore, the sheer complexity of deciphering the neural code, mapping the intricate symphony of 86 billion neurons firing in complex patterns, remains one of the greatest computational challenges in human history. We are currently listening to the roar of a stadium crowd and trying to isolate a single conversation, a task that requires exponential leaps in both material science and machine learning. To bypass these biological roadblocks, scientists are experimenting with non-invasive alternatives and highly flexible, biocompatible materials. Research is shifting toward nanoscale neural dust, microscopic sensors that can be scattered throughout the brain and powered by ultrasound, or endovascular interfaces that travel through the bloodstream to record signals from within the blood vessels of the motor cortex. These innovations aim to create a permanent high-fidelity connection without triggering the brain's defensive mechanisms, pushing the dream of seamless integration closer to clinical reality. Yet, as the hardware becomes more sophisticated and invisible, the vulnerability to external manipulation grows exponentially. The concept of brainjacking, the unauthorized hacking of a neural implant, shifts from a dystopian thriller plot point to a legitimate cybersecurity threat. If a malicious actor gains control of a neural interface, they could theoretically alter sensory perceptions, induce physical pain, or manipulate memories. The security of these devices must be absolute, as the consequences of a breach are not financial loss, but the hijacking of biological sovereignty. This vulnerability forces us to confront the ultimate fragility of human identity. If memories can be implanted, altered, or erased through a digital interface, the narrative continuity that defines who we are is entirely subjective. The ancient philosophical paradox of the ship of Theseus asks whether a ship that has had every single wooden plank replaced remains the same ship. As we gradually replace or augment our biological neural networks with synthetic components, we must ask at what point the original human consciousness ceases to exist, replaced by a digital facsimile. This paradox reaches its zenith with the concept of digital immortality. If the precise neural state of a human brain can be continuously mapped and backed up to a digital substrate, some futurists argue that consciousness itself could survive the death of the biological body. The mind, untethered from the decaying flesh, could persist in a simulated environment, a ghost in the machine. However, whether this digital copy is truly a continuation of the original self, or merely a highly convincing algorithmic echo, remains the most profound unanswered question of our impending technological evolution. The societal implications of such a reality would dismantle every existing cultural, religious, and economic institution. A world where death is no longer a biological certainty, but a technical failure, would fundamentally alter human motivation and our relationship with time. The accumulation of wealth, the pursuit of legacy, and the structure of families would all be radically redefined if the lifespan of a single consciousness could stretch across centuries. The merging of brains with machines is not just an engineering challenge, it is the deliberate orchestration of humanity's next evolutionary phase. We are currently writing the foundational code for this new species, yet our ethical frameworks remain anchored in the industrial age. The development of neural technology is accelerating at a breakneck pace, driven by commercial imperatives and geopolitical competition, while the philosophical and regulatory discussions lag dangerously behind. We are building the bridge to a post-human future without fully understanding the structural integrity of the human soul we are attempting to carry across. The urgency to establish ethical guardrails is paramount, as the decisions made in the laboratories today will echo through the cognitive architecture of generations to come. The journey towards seamless brain-computer integration is arguably the most consequential endeavor in human history. It promises to liberate us from the constraints of our biology, offering unprecedented avenues for connection, understanding, and exploration. We may soon possess the ability to share the raw, unarticulated beauty of a sunset directly from one mind to another, or collaboratively solve global crises with the combined processing power of millions of linked intellects. The potential for profound empathy and accelerated discovery is as breathtaking as the risks are terrifying. Ultimately, the true challenge of the coming neurotechnological revolution is not merely technical, but profoundly existential. As we stand before the vault of our own minds, keys in hand, ready to unlock the barrier between biological thought and digital infinity, we must rigorously question what we are willing to sacrifice in the pursuit of enhancement. The merging of humanity and machinery will redefine the boundaries of identity, autonomy, and consciousness itself. In our relentless drive to upgrade the human condition, we must ensure that we do not accidentally overwrite the very essence of what makes us human.